Welcome, everybody. My name is Don Otto, and I'm a member of the Board of Directors of the Iowa Renewable Energy Association, and I want to thank you for coming here and to the Expo. We have a collection of wonderful people. I'd like to ask you, we have some wonderful exhibitors. Please do come and visit them. It has been my very unexpected pleasure to introduce a dear friend of mine, Lilia Abron. I met her here a few years ago, and I think maybe in this very same room, when she was talking about careers and things that you can do with your life more than just making a buck, making a life. And ever since, my admiration for her has grown. PC, I believe, near Washington, D.C. Her company designs municipal systems, water, sewer, probably a lot of other things in there too. But I think she also spreads her passion to doing a very noble thing in South Africa. And I would love to hear the stories again of what she's doing and the advances that she's made, not only in the energy that's used and the people's ability to afford energy, but to be able to use that to improve their health as well. But again, it's been my privilege to know her. I would like you to meet Lilia Abron.
Thank you. And since I'm a mother and a grandmother now, and I raised 3 boys, I don't think I need a microphone either. Raised them by myself on what you call single female head of household. And they all went to college, so I guess I yelled loud enough. Just quickly to bring Don up to date, one of the things that he mentioned was the sustainable economic development work that we do in South Africa. In the United States, we're classical environmental engineers, water, wastewater, hazardous waste, doing the usual. And I tell everybody my green started in 1965 when Rachel Carson wrote her book, The Silent Spring. And that sent me to graduate school to do environmental engineering. I thought I wanted to be a pediatrician. And after I read that book, I was just so taken aback. I felt I had to do something. So that's how I got in this world. But about in 1994, 1995, we were invited, really personally, by President Mandela to come to South Africa to help him rebuild his country. And I was going to do the usual, since South Africa does a lot of mining. They're the 5th largest exporter of coal in the world. They have all of the minerals you could ever think of, diamonds, gold, platinum, everything. It's extremely polluted. And they said they wanted tourism as one of their #1 attractions, so I felt that they needed to clean the country up. So I went over to start talking about pollution control and abatement. And when President Mandela came into office, he had 5.5 million homeless families that he had to do something with. So he did something that no other head of state has ever done in the world. He set aside 5% of their GDP for a once-off grant to people who qualified as homeless to get them into formal housing. So that money is given to you. It's not, you don't pay it back or anything like that. And that program continues to exist today because the homeless families just continue to multiply. They don't go away. But at any rate, when I was over talking to the Chamber of Mines back and forth about pollution control and abatement, as an environmental engineer, I couldn't help but look at these houses, housing developments that were going up on the side of the road. And I kept asking myself, why, since they have so many homes to build, why won't these people do this correctly? It's called passive solar. These people don't have any money. South Africa has 4 seasons, you know, and it's all about, all I was looking at was, you know, a concrete, it was still a shack, but maybe a concrete shack. And to me, you don't put 25 square meters in the same sentence with home. The average South African family is 5.5 people, And as a female, I kind of figured that you need at least 2 bedrooms, and mom and daddy need a bedroom to themselves, and children belong in another room. So I started saying, you know one thing, there's a better way to do this. So my business partner and I, one day I told him, I said, you know, we really ought to do something about what they're doing. We ought to look at piloting some energy-efficient homes in townships. And he looked at me like I was kind of crazy, and he said, well, we don't build houses. I said, but you know how to build a house, and I know the technology. We can do this. So I went to, they had this thing called Going Becky by National Commission, and this is the way I met President Mandela in the first place. This was the relationship between the 2 vice presidents. One became president in Mbeki, one did not, Gore. But this was under the Clinton administration. But I went to Secretary O'Leary under that and asked for a little money. So we got a little money to do a pilot. And that was in 1995. And now, what is it now? It's 2011. And we now have 10,000 energy-efficient homes up in South Africa. Our houses use about 1/4 of a ton, or they save about 1/4 of a ton of carbon dioxide annually, because our houses on the order of 40 to 50 square meters. Most of them are clay-fired brick. The majority of passive solar. Those that are not passive solar were not passive solar, because I'm still an engineer, so I still have to do some monitoring and this kind of stuff. So I had to have some test houses along the way just to make sure that we were doing what we were supposed to do. But we built these houses according to a model. We used Energy 10, which is a model developed by DOE many years ago for buildings less than 25,000 square feet. So we monitor them. We have a patent for monitoring these houses, because you don't want to go into townships with laptops and equipment and all of this kind of stuff. So we do everything by cell phone and data loggers and the whole bit. And we've gotten awards and everything from the United Nations on having a best practice paradigm in affordable energy housing. And I think I have 2.5 employees in South Africa, and my payroll sometimes will be 300, 400 people. So we're doing everything the way it's supposed to be done. It's for them. It's to benefit them. When we walk away, they can keep going, and we have crews that we move around with us. They speak the language. We don't speak the language. You come into our projects, you won't see us, but our people know how to do everything, and we go to most of the climate change meetings, and we always make sure that we take our community people with us, and they're the ones that give the presentations in Denmark and in Morocco and all. We don't do any of that, they do, but you know, that's what development is. So Don wanted me to bring you up on that, and what I want to talk to today is about a new initiative going on here in the United States that many of you may find kind of interesting. I'm finding more and more and more that a lot of municipalities are looking at these programs very, very seriously. They are called sustainable energy utilities. They are not a regulated utility in the sense of your electric company and your gas company and all, but this is the name that they are taking. And the intent of these programs is to reduce the energy usage in your municipality, increase the use of renewables, and put people back to work. Because a lot of these projects, you can employ a lot of people. And in the District of Columbia, we have 8 wards, and in Ward 8 is 30% unemployed. And of that 30% unemployed, many of them are felons and, quote, therefore cannot get jobs. But many of these people who are felons because their mama or their daddy did not have enough money to hire a lawyer so that they could beat the charge. So there is no reason why a lot of them cannot go into homes. And so we've figured out ways where The majority of our felons, not hardcore criminals, but the majority of our felons, they can be hired and they can work on these kinds of projects. And this was one of the things that we were charged with. Now, I'm just quickly going to go to where we are now and then go back. This is the team for the Sustainable Energy Partnership in the District of Columbia. We were recently awarded the contract about 3 months ago. It was supposed to have been awarded back in November, but because of the amount of money we're talking about, politics came into being, so we had to let politics play out, and I had to tell some of the younger firms on the team, I said, when you do projects like this that involve the entire city and many millions of dollars, it's birthing a baby. And if you've never done it, just relax, because everybody has to play their politics and then things will settle out. The prime contractor is Vermont Energy Investment Corporation. I don't know how many of you all know them, but you should know them. They have been in the world of energy efficiency for 20 years or more. They are the premier company that does energy efficiency work all over the U.S. They are now doing projects in Canada. And the way they operate, they come in, they train you, and they go away. So they are not empire building, if you understand what I'm saying. So this is the group, and I'm just giving kudos to all of their logos and everything. And basically what this is, I sort of pulled the team together of all of the people in D.C., and we went out. I tried to get a group of people because politically I've been working in the District of Columbia for around 35 years with a consulting firm. And I worked at Howard University for 10 years as a professor in civil environmental engineering, all in D.C. So I know D.C. And I kind of know what it takes to work there. So I knew that we couldn't win it. There were several things nobody in D.C. could do. First of all, we didn't have the 20 years of running something like this. And secondly, we didn't have that MIS, Management Information System, that was needed. This is a major push in energy efficiency, and I'll just say quickly, when Cape Town had their power failure about 5 years ago, it was just an instant, and they went from, something like 10 megawatts, 100 megawatts down to 40 megawatts in 10 minutes. And it was more than that. But anyway, they lost 3/4 of their power in 10 minutes. So what the power company did over a 4-month period was they went into a major energy efficiency mode. They were just throwing stuff at people. Free light bulbs, free low flush shower heads, toilets, switching to gas stoves, anything they could do to get power off of the grid. We also worked as an ESCO, and we were given the downtown area, and we took 40 megawatts of unnecessary power off the grid in about 3 months. And I had about 400 people out just going home to home, changing out light bulbs, wrapping hot water tanks, the whole bit. So I felt in terms of energy efficiency in the residential area, I knew how to do that. But there were other things that I did not. So we pulled together a team, the best in national experience, VEIC, and in the District of Columbia, the best in being local in doing this kind of work across the board. So basically our team offers the best of local and the best of national. We know what we are doing. Now, let me go back to where this started, and that should be 2008, not 2001. In 2008, the District of Columbia passed something called the Clean and Affordable Energy Act. We are one of the cleanest, greenest, you wouldn't know that, but we are one of the cleanest, greenest cities in the U.S. You also realize that Washington, D.C. is a it. We are a city, we are a state, we are everything all wrapped up in one. I read something the other day which isn't true, said there was about 4 million people